It's a beautiful March 13th, Friday the 13th to everyone. On behalf of Sherfield, welcome to today's event with a timely and important theme, Rebuilding Public Trust, the private sector's role in championing integrity and accountability. Public trust is one of the most valuable and most fragile assets of any society. It is built through consistent ethical choices, transparent actions, and leaders who are willing to stand for what is right even when it is difficult. As members of the private sectors, we play a crucial role in shaping the trust through how we lead, decide, and act every day. Today's gathering is meaningful for these reasons. First, we will hear from our guest of honor. We will hold the induction of Sherfield's new Board of Trustees and formally welcome our new Sherfield members. This moment is more than ceremonial. It represents continuity of leadership and a renewed commitment to integrity, accountability, and service. Each person being inducted today is stepping forward as a steward of these values. We'll also have a MOA signing with GCash. And of course, we're honored to be joined by Mr. Rogelio Babe Singson, who will be introduced later, whose leadership and experience in governance and accountability bring both credibility and depth to today's conversation. His message will challenge us to look beyond compliance and ask how we, as private sector leaders and professionals, can actively help rebuild public trust. I encourage everyone to stay with us throughout the program. After the speech of Mr. Singson, we will engage into a meaningful open forum where your questions and reflections will be part of the dialogue. This is an opportunity not just to listen, but to engage and to live with insights that can guide action beyond today. As we begin, may this event remind us that trust is rebuilt when integrity is lived, not merely spoken. Welcome to Sherfield, and thank you for being part of a conversation that truly matters.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. It's truly wonderful to see many familiar faces again today in our first general membership meeting of Sherfield. Before we dive into the agenda, I'd like to formally recognize the partners and leaders joining us this afternoon. We're privileged to have with us a distinguished guest of honor, Mr. Rogelio Babe Singson. Thank you, Babes, for sharing your time and your career-long commitment of integrity with us. I also like to acknowledge the Board of Trustees of Sherfield, led by our chair, Boots Garcia. We're also joined by our partners at GCash, who are here for a landmark milestone signing of our digital outreach program. Finally, to our members and friends, thank you for being part of Sherfield's work. Your presence here today is a true testament of the importance of our shared mission. We're opening 2026 by confronting a challenge that belongs to all of us: rebuilding public trust. At Sherfield, our purpose is to empower the Filipino retail investor to invest confidently. However, we know that confidence cannot exist without trust, and trust is not a given. It is earned quietly, consistently, and often at great cost. While it's tempting to look toward government institutions when trust erodes, the private sector cannot afford to be the bystander. We are not exempted from the responsibility of accountability. In fact, as leaders of corporations and professional organizations, we are uniquely positioned to model it. Today, themes call us not just to discuss integrity, but practice it. To our governance, to our partnerships, and our communities that we serve. Our program today reflects the commitment to in a very concrete way. In a few moments, we will formally induct the newest members of our incoming Board of Trustees for 2025 and 2026. These are the leaders that will help carry our torch forward. Beyond our leadership, we're also marking a significant milestone in our operations, the signing of a memorandum of understanding with GCash that will help us populate our cornerstone or flagship platform called Share the Wealth. This is to democratize in the investing knowledge of the investing public. Project Rise, as we are, popularly know it, is a high-quality financial literacy materials to ensure investor awareness that reaches the pockets of every Filipino who need it most. We believe that informed investor is a confident one, and the collaboration is how we will make that a reality. As we move forward, I encourage each and every one of you to be more than just members, to be ambassadors of our advocacy. Your influence in your respective organizations is the greatest tool we have to foster a culture of transparency. Let us continue to work together to build a market where every Filipino can invest with trust and pride. Thank you for your commitment. Welcome once again, and please enjoy the rest of your lunch and the rest of the afternoon. On behalf of our chairperson, I now call this meeting into order. Thank you.
So today, we are honored to formally induct 5 institutional members and 6 new regular members to the Shareholders Association of the Philippines. For our institutional members, we have the following. First Philippine Holdings, represented by Karen Chong, Vice President for Finance and Investor Relations Head. Century Pacific Food Incorporated, represented by Jennifer Dapi San Juan Texon, Investor Relations Manager. Century Pacific Food as well, again, incorporated, represented by Charlton Sean Chase Gayerlan II, Investor Relations Manager. RG Manabat and Company, or KPMG in the Philippines, represented by Darwin Virosel, Head of Audit and Assurance. Semirara Mining and Power Corporation, represented by Reynan Miguel or Ray Ortiz, Assistant Manager for Corporate Governance. For the regular members, may I state their names. Vincent Paul Casilla, Managing Partner, Casilla Law Office. Nelson Ching, Consultant, Quirino C. Gotuaco, CPA's Office. Marcel Jingay Nograles, VP for Investor Relations at PLDT. Ira Paulo or Ira Pozon, Government Relations Director, Salmon Group Limited. Melvin Esteban, Senior Consultant, We Lead Financial Advisory Services. Anthony Gilbert Antiquera, Information Assistant, City Government of Imus, Office of the City Social Welfare and Development Officer. May I ask everyone to stand to give solemnity to the oath taking. So if I can ask all the members to raise their right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been accepted as a member of Shareholders Association of the Philippines Incorporated, do solemnly swear to abide by and uphold its articles of incorporation and bylaws, to commit and put into practice its core values and noble tenets, of fairness, accountability, independence, transparency, and honor. I pledge to help promote awareness of shareholder rights through responsible advocacy and shareholder education, and in so doing, contribute to the building of investors' confidence and contribute to the development of the capital markets. This I pledge without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. By virtue of the powers vested in me as chairperson of the membership committee, I now formally admit you and welcome you as new members of the Shareholders Association of the Philippines. Congratulations. May we ask the trustees? We're here for a photo op. Should we invite the trustees as well? May we invite the trustees to also join us as we take a photo. Maybe the trustees can sit, or can just stand in front of the stage so that we have enough space. Doon na lang sila. Yan, dito kayo. Dito, yan.
Okay, so now we proceed to the induction of the trustees. May I now call on my fellow trustees to come up on stage for the oath taking to be administered by our guest of honor, Mr. Rogelio Singson. Officers and Board of Trustees, Maria Aurora D. Giotina Garcia, Chairperson. Eduardo V. Francisco, Vice Chairperson. Conrado F. Bate, President. Herbert M. Consunji, Vice President. Maylene S. Bisnar, Treasurer. Maria Victoria C. Españo. Ramoncito S. Fernandez. Yuni Marie J. Mata Perez. Tomasa H. Lipana. Sorry, Miss Tammy. Juan W. Ramos. Evelyn R. Singson. Dr. Benito L. Tihanki. Mr. Jaime E. Ismael, Jose Luis U. Yulo Jr.
I state your name. Having been elected as of the Shareholders Association of the Philippines, do solemnly swear to abide by and uphold its Constitution and bylaws, to commit and to put into practice its core values and noble tenets of fairness, accountability, independence, transparency, and honor. I likewise pledge to advance the interests of the investing public, to which this association is dedicated, and to conduct myself in a manner befitting of a true proponent and advocate of good governance, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, as our President just highlighted, today's gathering is not only about dialogue, it's also about action. We now proceed to the ceremonial signing of the MOA, or Memorandum of Understanding with GCash, a key partnership that will help expand the reach of Project RISE and the Share the Wealth Financial Literacy Initiative. This agreement is the vital next step in bringing the vision of Share the Wealth, the Project Rise to life, linking the financial literacy efforts with GCash incredible digital reach. To make this collaboration official, please welcome our signatories on stage. Representing Sharefield, our President, Mr. Dino Bate. Representing the Phoenix Foundation, its Chairman, Mr. Edmond Alan Kwayansen, EJ. Representing the Capital Markets Development Foundation, Inc. Wala sila. And representing GCash, please welcome Mr. Darwin C. Su, General Manager for Wealth Management, accompanied by Mr. John G. Garcia, Head of Wealth Management Customer Success. Okay, for the signing. And after signing, may I request you to please stand and for the photo op. Okay, congratulations. Thank you to GCash for your support. And of course, to Phoenix Foundation and to CMDFI. Okay. As key part of our mission and why today's gathering is so vital is our shared dedication to rebuilding public trust. By supporting this platform, you are actively demonstrating the private sector's crucial role in setting the standard for transparency, ultimately strengthening the dialogue and trust between companies and their shareholders. We'd like to extend our sincere thanks to the following generous sponsors. Event sponsors, SGV, Skoll Financial, SM Prime Holdings. Other sponsors, Ayala Corporation, DMCI Holdings, Bases Conversion and Development Authority, and PNA Grant Thornton. Thank you for your vital partnership in driving meaningful change, modeling good governance, and empowering investors in the Philippines. Now, I'd like to call on our chair, Ms. Maria Aurora Boots Giotina Garcia, who will be our moderator and also who will introduce our guest speaker for this afternoon.
So again, good afternoon to all our members, our guests and friends, distinguished guests, if I might add. It's really a privilege for me to introduce today's speaker, someone whose public and private sector leadership has reshaped how many of us think about governance and accountability. We share a professional link. Both of us, at one point of our lives, served as chair of the Bases Conversion and Development Authority. And I know firsthand the sheer demands of driving institutional reform. Mr. Rogelio, or Babes, as we fondly call him, is widely respected for translating conviction into tangible results. As a former secretary of the DPWH, he confronted systemic problems head-on and led reforms that drastically improve transparency and delivery. For his leadership across sectors, he was deservedly named MAP's Management Person of the Year in 2024. He is an engineer by training, a manager by experience, and a long-standing advocate of transparency. To add a personal note, Babes is also a mean ballroom dancer, which she spends a lot of time off, I just found out, 3 times a week. So if you need a DI, he is available as a stress reliever. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends, please join me in welcoming Babe Singson to the stage for an 8-minute presentation, after which he will sit down for a 5-minute fireside chat and open forum. As we move through our topics, I will be opening the floor, so please feel free to think about your questions, step up to the microphones to share your questions as the discussion unfolds. So in the meantime, let me allow us to give Babes his short presentation.
As Ms. Boots mentioned, mahirap siyang tanggihan eh. I'd rather be somewhere else than being here, being put to task to discuss something that is very sensitive but very close to my heart. Allow me to start by sharing what has worked with me in my past assignments, both in the public and private sector. Let me share my leadership style, whether in government or private, and I use the acronym REAL, Real Leadership. R stands for relevant. I want to make sure that as a leader, I have to be relevant to both our employees and especially to the customers and clients that we serve. I think you will see this all over my assignments that I have always started with what is essential to our customers. So being relevant to me is very, very important. Letter E for engaging. To be relevant, I always engage with both internal and external stakeholders for us to better understand the pain points of the organization and what makes sense to the public that we serve. When I was with Tollways, we had to make sure what was essential to the riding public. Bus rider ba yan? Nagde-deliver ba ng pagkain yan? So that we could address their pain points. Letter A. This to me is very important, especially in the public sector. Act with fairness and compassion all the time. Don't be selective. In government, you also have to act with courage to do what is right and if necessary, not to be afraid to quit your job instead of following what could be your headache and problem for many years after you leave government. In my case, I had an ILBO for 6 years for something that was non-essential. And letter L is you have to lead by example. The best teacher is how your colleagues see you, how you behave. Are you trustworthy in small things and big things? And do what you preach. So real leadership. Having said that, let me share briefly what we adopted in DPWH. That has worked very well. Now, but before we could arrive at this, I had to ask a PR consultant who offered their services. This is Yoli Ong Villanueva, who helped us identify. Sabi niya, I will do an internal and external survey to find out what is relevant and what will the public expect of you as the incoming secretary. So they came up with fairly simple, straightforward. What was expected of me as secretary was to make sure that government funds and resources were used for the 5 Rs. Make sure that it is the right project, done at the right cost, at the right quality, right on time, and by the right people. It's a very straightforward, easy to communicate to all, internal, external, pati Kongreso. Ito ang aming Biblia. I will abide by this, and President, luckily for me, I had the full support of President Noynoy Aquino as he was, first mandate he gave me was ayusin yung DPWH. And I had Senate President Frank Drilon, and then we had Speaker Sonny Belmonte as Speaker of the House. So we had good support from all 3 leaders, which was very important. Because I had to face Congress with courage. And they knew exactly that I was not going to be allowed to be bullied. If they tried to bully, my understanding with them is we had already an agreement before the budget deliberations, and I told them bluntly, kung may magtatanong pa sa'yo sa floor, itaga mo sa bato, babawasan ko yung budget sa distrito mo. That was the language they understood. After many years of leading both public and private corporations, most of the corporations I joined were imbued with serving the general public. May utilities dyan, and of course, as mentioned, BCDA, we started BCDA by raising funds, putting up the Heritage Park. That's how we were able to generate funds. Yung Memorial Park that is very popular now, that raised the initial funds for BCDA to be able to operate. DPWH, Maynilad, Meralco MGen, Metro Pacific Tollways, Metro Pacific Water Investments, and recently, with my dear colleague here, ICI. If you have any questions with ICI, please refer it to Ms. Rosario. Let me just mention very quickly management principles that have worked with me for CEOs, executives in both public and private sector. Political leaders based on good moral values. Dapat required yan. Hindi pwedeng flexible, hindi pwede kung ano lang. Moral values with honesty, integrity, and accountability. Transparency in the use of resources. I mentioned this, very, very important. Whether public or private, you have to demand accountability and transparency. Accountability of all, from CEO to rank and file, for their decisions and actions. This one was very important, and I will discuss this a little bit more. Citizens and stakeholders' participation. The much-needed support of civic-mindedness people and organizations. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we lost in the last 4 or 5 years. The civic-mindedness of people. Pinabayaan natin our elected and appointed officials to do what they want. Finally, the rule of law and swift justice. Although under our current judicial setup, this will not be swift. Unfortunately, the world standard for anti-corruption is the one in Hong Kong, ICAC, and the one in Singapore, CPIB. All of what we have from DOJ to Ombudsman to Sandigan, all in one bureau. So ang bilis ng desisyon doon. Makukulong ka kaagad doon. Hindi ka pareho ngayon, meron pang COVID cases pending in the Sandigan Bayan. To answer your question, how can private sector help in rebuilding public trust? My quick answer is by demanding honesty, integrity, and accountability from our leaders, both elected and appointed. This can be done. We have to demand this. A problema, we keep electing the same corrupt officials. One immediate response to this question is for the private sector to support what we recently launched. We call this ang bagong people power, with the help of Cardinal Ambo, BCBP, the church, and many civic-minded organizations across the country, specifically yung TAPAT. So the multi-sectoral initiative is what we refer to as BISTO proyekto, hindi bistro ha. BISTO, ibisto natin yung infrastructure projects sa ating locality. We're trying to bring back the civic-mindedness of people and organizations, especially for the young. My disappointment, I keep saying this in front of young students, nung panahon namin sa UP, magtaas lang ng konti ang tuition, nasa kalye na kami. Ngayon, ninakaw na yung future nyo, hindi pa kayo kumikibo. Nasa social media pa rin kayo. That's what I'm saying. The civic-mindedness has been lost. BISTO proyekto is citizen-powered reporting tool. You can, in fact, go to your cell phone, go BISTO PH. Every project of DPWH is already loaded there. Where, what is the status, sino yung contractor, magkano. And if you go to the website, it even teaches newbies, students, how to check, how to inspect. may checklist sila to be able to really participate. Because when I was with DPWH, I mentioned citizens' participation. That to me was very crucial. I organized communities, the church, the public school teacher, and media. Etong project na to, mapapakinabangan nyo kung maayos. But if it's not done or that substandard or ghost, then you just lost an opportunity. So it is incumbent upon the communities to monitor that the projects, the funds being used there are for the right project, right cost, right quality. So this website already, through a memorandum of agreement between Bisto Project and DPWH, they have uploaded all of the 22,000 projects nationwide. So you have a lot of network available. You have a lot of offices in other provinces. I strongly suggest that you use some of your staff to organize so that they can make sure that the resources of government will be beneficial to your people in the locality over a longer period. There will no longer be ghost projects if everyone is watching.
First question is something that you might, I'm sure you, all of us know has been answered. But we'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth. Why did you leave ICI? And where do you think I should move forward if it were to succeed or to be able to achieve its objectives? Can I have another mic?
Frankly, from day one, I knew what was going to be my role in ICI. My role could be done in 3 months, I said, because my role was to explain to the commission, to the line agencies, how, why, and who were involved in the corruption. I knew it because having been there for 6 years, I had the 5 R's. Hahanapin mo, saan ba't sila nagkamali dyan? Unang-una, right project. Eh, hindi nila ginawa. Mga ghost. Pangalawa, right cost. Imagine, who was the best performer of DPWH in 24-25? Bulacan first. They were spending, many of you are in the construction business. They were billing the government 2 billion a month. Can you imagine how many documents you need to complete to be able to bill 2 billion? They spent 26 billion in 1 year. And they were named the best performer because they were spending much more and faster. Pabilisan ng gastos ang naging criteria ng DBM. And that's why I had to take DBM to task. Their measure of performance was obligation rate. Binigyan ka ng budget, how fast can you obligate? Second, disbursement rate. How fast can you spend, regardless of the supporting documents that you submit? All under the presumption of regularity. I hated that word. Everything from the top to the middle management, their answer was presumption of regularity. Hugas kamay ang ibig sabihin nun. So, I knew in 3 months I could do my job. Because after that, tatambakan na ng dokumento yung opisina and you need lawyers and prosecutors to go over these documents so that they could be filed with the ombudsman. Unfortunately, when we started, there was no ombudsman that was active. It was only when Ombudsman Boying Remulla stepped in that he even said that we were already redundant. So fine.
Sir, okay ba?
Because we were just investigative. we were not going to bring it beyond submitting documents to the ombudsman.
Okay, so we heard it straight from the horse's mouth.
Of course, there was a health issue. Don't
Okay. You
And-
might wish there was a health issue according to the press that we've heard also. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was seen dancing all night the night before I resigned. Kaya walang maniwala tuloy. Anyway,
Sabi sa inyo, stress reliever ang dancing. So you should pick it up and you can hire babes as your
mura lang
dance
ako,
instructor.
mura lang. I teach,
Mura lang daw
I
siya.
teach Latin dances.
Romy, before your question, may I ask a question first related to this question? So both of us have navigated the complexities of dealing with government and infrastructure projects as we were both in BCDA. So it does take some political will to enforce standards. And then when you were awarded the MAP Management Bond of the Year, you quoted, if I might quote the Gospel of Matthew, "Enter through the narrow gate when addressing corruption when the pressure is at its highest." So what practical principles guided you in those hard decisions?
I'm an active member of Ligaya ng Panginoon. So we have a way of life that starts with daily prayer, reflections, and obeying the Lord. No? So that's part of my daily routine. No? In fact, if you want, it's a very simple. You can have it for free. Daily reflections. It comes to my cell phone, email. It is based on the daily readings of the gospel, and so it gives you a good guide. No? So anyway, on the day that I was interviewed by President Noynoy, that was the reading. Enter the narrow road. Ako sabi ko, it cannot be more graphic than this. Entering the narrow road of corruption in DPWH. And it was a difficult decision, but a few days before that, I came from a coordinator's retreat of Ligaya ng Panginoon. And the topic was being radical disciples for the Lord. Getting out of your comfort zone. I was president of Maynilad, if you remember, Mon. I had to give that up to take on the DPWH position, which meant financial sacrifice, security risk, long hours. I had to give up my golf in Alabang Country Club. Wala nang oras because I had to travel all over the country on weekends. No? So that's how my decisions are driven. Now, moving forward, why did I accept ICI? Another crazy decision. On the day that I was being asked, una, DPWH, kung pwede daw bumalik doon. Sabi ko, no way. What I did in DPWH, I did about 16 years ago. I don't have that energy, although, of course, palusot na lang yun, but definitely no. Then the OTR, sabi ko, no also. And then came Galatians 6 verse 9. Do not be weary in doing good. For the reward will come in due time. Sabi ko, ang hirap naman ito. No? So, sabi ko, I had to accept. I had to do what was the assignment.
I would like to know what is the marketing effort to let the people know that such a project exists. Because, we in Metro Manila or the key cities in the urban areas, we think we are communicating properly about good governance, etc. But you travel the country as well. It's the farthest thing from reality in the countryside. We're not talking to them. So the key here is probably the marketing effort is the biggest problem to get good governance. So
Yeah.
maybe you can share with us, or
The-
maybe ideas can be
Romy,
floated.
that's why we are trying to appeal to the private sector. You have your own network. But more than anything else, there's the church. Okay, so with all the parishes have been called to participate. Caritas, Radio Veritas is very much now getting into the aspect of promoting Bistro Proyecto. And then, of course, there's an organization nationwide composed of tricycle drivers, magsasakay. Ang tawag na Tapang. This is led by, old age is catching up, but there's a guy who has been very active, moving about, organizing, and bringing the students. To me, what is important is the youth. Sila yung techie, sila yung marunong mag-access nitong information that is uploaded in Bisto Proyecto. And they have a checklist, madali nilang sundan. And we have to appeal to their civic mindedness. Ninakaw yung kinabukasan nila and they have kept quiet. No? That's the unfortunate situation. So hopefully, with this launching, kaya tinawag na ang bagong people power. It is now through the media, it is now through making sure that people are aware of how funds are being used in their own communities. So that we're able to elect good leaders, not the same leaders.
You know, with ICI, I think I communicated with you as well on that point.
That's good.
How many of the COA inspectors or auditors have been jailed?
0.
That's what I figured. But I think we're going on the wrong direction because that's the last line of defense. If it was a criminal conspiracy, the COA is not necessarily part of the conspiracy.
They are part, I'm telling
Yes,
you.
they are.
Ah, really?
They are part.
That's very, very sad news.
Especially in Bulacan.
Very sad
Especially
news.
in Bulacan. Nagpikit mata. Presumption of regularity this was the answer. In Bulacan, admitted by our own district engineer, lahat doon kumita. Pati yung parish priest na malapit doon. Nabigyan ng mga
Yes,
sasakyan.
everybody happy. That's the normal
Including the
process.
janitor, nakabahay na ngayon, may motorsiklo na, lahat.
You mentioned the importance of the youth, Sec Babes, and I've been teaching for 43 years, and one of my favorite activities to assign my students is, what are your concerns in your district or in your city or municipality? Write your mayor, visit your mayor, write your congressman. This is the assignment they hate the most. And I keep telling them the Constitution says we are a Republican democracy, power emanates from the people, sovereignty resides in the people. This is very alien to them, and they don't want to engage. So I guess my question to you is, what can you advise us educators? I remember a famous question by our former president, saan ba kayo kumukuha ng kapal na mukha, right? The question I'm posing to you, Sec Babes, is saan ba pwedeng kumuha ng lakas ng loob yung youth natin, which we are counting on to be more vigilant, instead of being keyboard warriors behind anonymous names, to really engage their leaders? Where do you think they can get the courage that we so badly need as we rebuild our country? Thank you.
First of all, it emanates from the leaders, local leaders. No? Wag naman yung by the people, for the people. If you got that, you
I
buy
got
the
it.
people and pour the people. P-O-O-R.
Loud and clear.
So, kasi that is the common practice. No? And we keep electing them dahil pinakain ka lang ng malapit ng eleksyon, siya ulit. No? And kung hindi na siya, naubos na yung asawa, yung anak, ito yung dynasty issue. No? So anyway, it has to be coming from themselves. They have, that's why yung civic mindedness has to be strengthened, no? Ito para sa inyo ito. When in DPWH, what I did was I removed about 20% of the personnel from USEC down. I also did the same sa Maynilad. Umiiyak ito sila, Herbie. Kaya mo ba yan? Hindi ba tayo welga niyan? And we were distributing pink slips during the Christmas holidays. But because I talked to the labor leaders, I engaged with them. Sabi ko, ilang taon na kayong ganito? Wala kayong asenso. Eto may pag-asa. Are you willing to change your ways? Pumayag sila. Again, being relevant, engaging, it to me is very, very important. The same is true in these communities. Somebody has to make the effort of engaging and talking to them. Mahalaga ba sa inyo yung kalye? Mahalaga ba na hindi na kayo binabaha? Ayan, may project ng flood control. Bakit hindi nyo pakialaman or bantayan na tama ang ginagawa? Ano?
That's a great example, Secretary, because during Ondoy, we were flooded, and I went to City Hall and I asked to meet the city engineer. They gave us a list of 10 excuses why we were still flooding. So this recent scandal was not a surprise to me at all. But many of my co-village people did not want to go to City Hall.
That's why, in my case, I volunteered to help DPWH, even without a single compensation. I was there yesterday, and we are looking at, there are 71 pumping stations in the whole of Metro Manila.
Yes.
And maybe we are lucky if half of that is working.
I found out, yes. They're not being maintained. Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you.
Thank
Nonoy, yeah?
Secretary, first, I want to begin with 2 points. In the 1960s, the Philippines was the second richest country in Asia and ASEAN, second only to Japan in GDP per capita. That was 1960s. Today, we have been overtaken by South Korea, Taiwan, China. We were ahead of China. Our neighbors, Malaysia, Indonesia,
Cambodia na lang nasa
Thailand.
ilalim natin.
and in 2021, Vietnam overtook the Philippines in GDP per capita. We are now only ahead of Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Shame on us. And they say that is because, partly, of majority of corruption. Okay. Then it goes to the second point. They say corruption in the Philippines has gone worse because before it was overpricing, substandard. Ngayon, ghost project already. So it's getting worse, and it keeps on coming back and forth.
And
So
the
they
scale
say
is
maybe
much bigger. The scale is
It's much bigger.
enormous.
So people are saying corruption is endemic to the Filipino culture.
I don't believe.
Why? Because they say there's something wrong in your educational system, and there is something wrong in your religion, the way the church teaches. Two problems. Because today, we keep on talking of problems, we joke about it, but it keeps on happening and happening because the Filipino is not embedded with the right culture. How do we solve this?
Ang bigat ng tanong mo.
Hindi ako nagtanong yan, ha? Si Nonoy yan.
No, to me, it's all leadership. The leaders that we choose, we have to make them accountable for honesty. We have to demand honesty, integrity. No? But unfortunately, as I said, if the bigger population of the voters are uneducated, you can imagine, how do you get across? Pakakainin lang yan during election, done na yan eh. Hindi nila alam yung pinakain galing din sa kanila. No? It's unfortunate. As you said, tama ka, it has been there all these years. I have, since day one, when worked with the Development Academy of the Philippines, my first assignment was to look at what happened to the Reparations Commission funds. We were given by Japan a huge amount of reparations fund. Did we see that benefit to the country? Zero.
Care of the Japanese.
They had
Sir.
They put up factories in Cebu, a huge propeller manufacturing, the basic welding rods, cement factory, paper mill, they were all set up. I saw it myself. Patatakbuhin na lang yung planta. There was even a Toyopet plant set up. Nothing happened after that. It is all there. And what Cebu was able to produce, because of the availability of high-precision equipment, paltik. That was the only output of all the high-precision equipment that was put in Cebu.
Even if, your story says, even if you institutionalize good governance, and I think this is good even for private sector, private companies, if subsequently you do not have the right leaders, the institution that you have built would go away, right? Wala na. Tama-tama yung pagkakalatag mo, but when you left, wala na. And I think that's the same for private sectors. So ultimately, it boils down to the leader. Now, in our country, I've heard this comment, no, na for this to be solved, you need to change the Constitution. Because the three legs of our, of our society, legislative, judicial, executive, are ultimately appointed by the president. So, in my years before, 80s, may natural friction pa yon between executive and Congress. Nagbabanggaan pa yon. Ngayon, nilinis na mula budget hanggang legislative, pati siguro judicial, tinahina eh.
Connivance na.
Yes. So the system has failed. So I just would like to hear your views, no? Kasi we're talking about leadership, but it takes courage, as you pointed out. We have an undersecretary, a woman undersecretary, which I think was quite an intelligent person, but she has been transformed by the system. And the question would therefore be, how could you maintain good people, how could you attract good people to join government if the system is broken? Would you have any views on this change in constitution?
Yeah,
that
I
has been
fully
passed?
agree that we need to look seriously at the legal judicial process. No? Hindi pwede yung hiwa-hiwalay. Unfortunately, the ombudsman is a creation of constitution. Sandigan, also a creation of the Constitution. So when we were discussing the IPC, Independent People's Commission, that was already a block. When we were discussing this at the Senate and at the lower house, talagang these are constitutional bodies. There are even well-meaning local officials. Their suggestion is even more drastic: abolish Congress.
Evelyn, were you raising your hand? Not anymore.
Ito yung mic.
Wait. May I ask a question of paper? Because what you're speaking of is leadership, etc. The analogy to us in the private sector is really our boards, okay? The management and the boards. And I just want to also mention that our advocacy is protection of the minority shareholders, okay? So, what would you suggest we should do when dominant personalities take over good practices that you have seen? And as described by, was it Mary Vic earlier, pag alis mo, there's a different set of board members. How do you ensure that the so-called good governance practices are carried forward for the protection of our stakeholders, our beneficiaries.
Again, it redounds to yung dalawa, no? Being relevant and engaging. The leaders, especially today, with the double whammy of the Iran-Iraq war, and then the holding back of government in terms of infrastructure spending, can you imagine what is happening in the countryside? Walang pera dahil walang trabaho, mataas pa yung bilihin. Saan sila pupulutin? No? So, this double tsunami have to be addressed by the leaders. No? What do you do? No? I have no answers. But I'm just pointing to you, now that 80%, more than 80% of the oil that we receive goes through the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to run dry in what, 50, 60 days. Kaya mag-electric vehicle na kayo.
Endorsement yan ah. Evelyn and then.
No, that as corporations, you better be aware how that is going to affect your companies. Are you ready for it? Are your employees ready for it? Others are already adopting 4-day work week. Have you adapted to a 4-day work week or flexi time and so on? But you cannot ignore the double whammy that's going to hit us. Walang trabaho,
Walang
mataas ang
pambili.
bilihin. How do you become relevant to
Evelyn?
your customers, to your employees, and to the general public?
Mic. Can you give a mic please to Evelyn?
I have
Pinsan, yes.
my famous relative. I think we know our problems, no? We have analyzed our problems and we are all aware of what these are. And you're saying it's always a leadership problem. Okay. Why do we keep electing the same leaders? Basic talaga yan, hindi ba? Because our people have been made ignorant and we have not really developed love of country among our young people. Ngayon, alam naman natin yung solution, hindi ba? But how do we, it's really long term eh. While you solve all your problems at present, you have to develop the young people to become civic-minded.
That's why,
Ngayon-
Evelyn, I said earlier, there are two kinds of youth. Yung nasa
Yeah,
eskwelahan
yeah, I
at saka yung
know.
nasa out of school.
Ngayon-
Mas mahirap yung out of school.
Okay. They need to be educated. They
That's
need to be developed as responsible citizens.
Yes.
Ngayon, it's not easy. It has to be part of a maybe countrywide revision of our educational system. I don't know. But parang if you sell, like even to big business, you sell the idea that we need to develop the young people, we need to educate them, we need to show them how to be discerning in choosing the leaders. It does cost money, but it does not appeal to corporate business. It's a concept that they cannot support because they cannot see the immediate return to them of what this effort is. But you cannot do it without support, di ba?
That's correct.
From the public. Pero
No,
there
that's-
are people who want to help, there are people who want to do this, but they don't have the resources.
That's why the civic mindedness has to start at the top. Corporations and organizations, just choose your CSR. Choose your CSR. It has to come, otherwise, it's going to affect your
But
business.
it has to be a united effort. eh.
Correct.
Everyone has to be involved.
That's right. I fully agree. That's why I'm appearing all over the place just to appeal and promote Bisto Proyekto. No?
Yes, that's one. But tignan mo ha, ang kaaway natin dito, trolls. The trolls have invaded the minds of our young people that they believe what they read and they believe what they are told. So, yung mga young people now, how are they convinced that what they read there is the right thing, hindi ba? Even intelligent people, if you talk to them, they believe what the trolls are spreading. It's so organized.
Yung grupo nyo on electoral
Yeah,
education,
we want
It's
to do,
there.
we want to work with the church. We want to work with corporate. Ito, ano lang ito eh, because we're all volunteers, we can only devote time and energy, but we don't have the resources to print books,
Yes.
to have a communication network.
well, alam mo sa MAP, they're just trying to find where can they put their money to support efforts like this.
Put it in PPCRB.
Make a pitch. Evelyn, I'm serious. Make a pitch. They're waiting for good CSR projects that can help create higher civic mindedness, especially in the youth sector.
Mignon, you had a question? Well, obviously, it's understandable that this is a nationwide effort, but it's really a challenge to even, and what they call this, call everyone to it. So I think we can do it in pockets within our own sphere of influence or network. Because seriously, I mean,
Start somewhere.
yeah, you have to start somewhere, because if you try to start high up there, it's unlikely that you will succeed. At least a success within your own sphere would probably work. Mignon?
Hi, I'm Mignon Ramos. I was part of a multi-sectoral meeting where Visto Proyecto made a presentation also. And so I want to bring it to the nearer problem. We noticed in the group that was put together by MAP, we noticed that there's no real transparency and governance framework for Visto Proyecto, which plays into the, places the whole project at risk, because ang typical answer of the youth or anybody about why they will not complain is because wala namang mangyayari. Nothing will happen. So that small group was already volunteering to put together a governance and transparency framework. Ito ang mangyayari. Pag nagreklamo ka through Visto Proyecto, ito yung mangyayari. Ito yung gagawin natin para mangyari. And, unfortunately, it's been almost a month since that meeting, and we haven't been called, though we actively raised our
We're
hands.
actually trying to find a structure to institutionalize Visto Proyecto as first order. Because right now it's a loose organization, no structure. We're trying to look at how we can develop it in such a way that it is like PDRF, Philippine Disaster Resiliency Foundation. Private sector led, not waiting for any government support, but addressing a specific need. So we're trying to work this out. Any suggestions, I can bring this up so that we can institutionalize Visto Proyecto. Right now, it's not.
I have to point out, though, that the beauty of Visto Proyecto is that it's playing in the same realm as the people today. It just becomes viral, hopefully. But you need a framework for
That's
them
correct.
to believe.
You need to institutionalize what it is.
Melvin?
Okay, so 2 items lang, no? So the first one kasi is, I know that Visto Proyecto is a website, right? But my problem is, people don't really go to a website anymore. So what was the thought process there? Why didn't we just use the current social platform? So I'll give you a very good example. So So I always see this in Facebook. It's a group called Visor Community. So where they actually show photos of of projects that are not done correctly, people that are not doing their job, and so on and so forth. And right there and there, you can really see results. Eventually, they will say that this already reported to the LTO, etc., etc. So instead of doing the website, why don't we use the social platform, to engage more people? Kasi you mentioned earlier you wanted to target the younger audience, right? So ako, last time I opened a website, I can't even remember, but I'm sure a lot of people, they open their Facebook every day. So that's my first suggestion. The second is, when I was young,
Not too long ago.
So you admit that you're
yeah,
no
mga
longer
two-
young.
mga 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Oh, so when I was young, I really wanted to work for the government. I graduated in UP, and somehow, if you graduated in UP, there's always that part of you that you wanted to give back to the country. But it's just so hard to go and work for the government. If you apply, ang daming red tape, etc., palakasan, and so on and so forth.
Endorsement
So
ni Congress.
ended up, I just went to the private sector. Mabilis, may process, in-interview na kagad ako, etc., etc. Unlike in the government, I don't even know how to do it. So
Are you
yun lang,
still
no?
open?
He is employed, but
yeah.
he can quit the job.
I'm always open to give my part. to
Maybe you
help the
can
government.
volunteer.
I don't mind.
Volunteer for this project. Romy, can we give others a chance first, please? Maybe if we cannot entertain your question now, maybe you want to ask it from Babes later. But Mon
Sigismundo.
Segismundo?
I'm Mon Sigismundo of ICD with President Tammy here. I've been a supporter of Secretary Babe's journey for the past 16 years because we came from the same school, right? But although you were 9 years ahead of me. Sama, no? No, but I was just going to say that you mentioned double whammy, no? Pero for me, I think the economy is entering a perfect storm. No? I think remittances will be reduced with the Middle East problem. AI is knocking on our BPO's door. And as you mentioned, inflation in interest rates would go up. So it's really a perfect storm type of a crisis. But we can turn that crisis into an opportunity, right? Because it's almost like a resetting that may probably happen. And when I was looking at my biblical verse this morning, Sec Babes, look, chapter 3, verse 5. Every valley shall be filled, and every mountain and hill shall be brought low. The crooked shall become straight, and the rough ways smooth. So in other words, if we hurdle those obstacles, we might enter a new era in the Philippines. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, back to basics. That's what you're saying, no? And a total reset. Make this what we are facing as an opportunity to reset, no? So, leadership, again, basic, making corporations more relevant. What are the pain points of people today? No, so that your organization really is more relevant to them. No, I go back to the relevance, engaging, act with courage, and leadership by example. No, to me, going back to basics, as you said, reset. Okay, how can you reset? How do you make your organization more relevant today under this new setup? You have to engage. lalo na yung kabataan, how do you become more civic-minded? I talk to my grandchildren, all boys, studying unfortunately sa Ateneo, hindi ko makumbinsi to move to Lasal.
Kala ko sa UP.
But I talk to them. What is relevant to you? Ibang-iba. We have to understand the Gen Z, what drives them, what keeps them awake. You'll be surprised. Our standards noon, we're not that old, Mon. We were in UP-IE some years back. Our standards and how we do things are no longer acceptable to them. No? So this is what I keep saying when I was with Metro Pacific Tollways. How relevant are you as a leader and as an organization? So, ano yung essential? Ano yung pain points ng mga taong kausap nyo? As you said, we need to reset. Anong pain points? What are we trying to address? So that, again, we become relevant. How do we understand what drives the Gen Z? No? Kasi mga estudyante pa lang, when I was a student, I was already thinking of my future. My dream was to retire at 40, honestly. And I was able to retire at 38. I went for me to do that, I went overseas. Nag-OFW ako. My savings in US dollars was, for every year doon ka, 10 years savings dito. So 3 years there was equivalent to a lifetime of 30 years. So I was able to retire. I went to Baguio, built a house there, retired, did weaving. We opened a store in Hyatt before it collapsed. But then I was called back. Sabi sa akin ni Secretary Ping, marami ka nang naipon, walang pangsweldong gobyerno, join the cabinet of Tita Cory. Oh, call to duty, pasok. So, how do you create that civic mindedness? No? Sometimes, as you said, love of God and love of country is the basic. What does the Bible say today? Total, pinag-uusapan. Love God with your whole heart, with all your strength, and all your mind. Total, hindi pwedeng half and half.
So does that resonate with the IRs? So you somehow have to adjust the way you communicate?
You have to be relevant. That's to be is very important. And how to be relevant, you engage. Sino ba yung, who are you trying to address? Ano yung mga pain points nung kausap nyo? No? There was a time sa tollways, I was really frustrated because nagtayo ng toll roads, Mon. Nagtayo tayo ng toll roads. Inasikaso lang natin yung kalye natin. Pero yung entry at exit, hindi natin pinakialaman. So, ngayon, ano yung problema mo? Yung exit at entry. Di ba? Pero kung sinabihan niyo ako nung nasa DPWH, iginawa ko kayo ng panibagong national road.
Omon, bakit ganon?
Di ba? Again, relevance, no? What is essential? Inintindi lang natin yung sarili natin, hindi natin tinignan 10, 20, 30 years ahead. Ang bottleneck ngayon lahat ng expressway is the entry and exit.
Would your response be the same if we ask you what we as an association should do to strengthen integrity across Philippine companies?
You have to show it by way of being relevant to your communities. Being relevant to your own employees, and your leaders have to show it. No? Walk the talk, sabi nga nila. Pag sabihin nyo, let's meet at 9 o'clock. That means before 9, you are there. It's night 9:10, 9:20.
If you come
Walang
at 9, you're late.
maniniwala. When I call for a meeting, 9 o'clock, I am ahead of everyone. I was here what time? Magkasabay tayo. Sabi 11:30, so I'm here 10:30.
I will attest to that. I came at about the same time.
I mean, it's a habit that you develop. Walk the talk. In other words, simple life means simple life. Hindi yung papasok ang naka-Ferrari or naka kung ano-ano dyan. Pag pinaskay mo ko sa Ferrari, baka galisin ako eh.
Okay. There were actually questions in Google, but they've also been answered already. So I'll entertain one last question from Tommy, and then I'll have a closing question.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Secretary. and
Good
thank you.
afternoon na,
Ay,
Tommy.
ay, good afternoon.
Babes na
And
lang,
thank
wag
you.
naman
Sige,
former.
babes. Okay. And thank you for being with us this afternoon. Yeah, I would like to respond to the comment earlier regarding, I think it came from the question of Mr. Yulo. Yeah, I recall that during our time, masama daw yung sabihin panahon namin, but I think I have to do it because this is relevance. I remember that when I was in the public elementary school, there was a subject called GMRC, Good Manners and Right Conduct.
Civic.
Good
Civica.
manners and right conduct, we had that.
That's correct.
Okay, GMRC, we called it GMRC. I don't know up to what year we had that, but many years after that, they said that it would not be a separate subject, but it would be integrated in other subjects. So, when this was integrated, nawala na ang silbi, no? Nabaon eh. So maybe, talking of the future, not now, we may have to tell the academe, the Department of Education, to consider putting this back in the curriculum. Okay, second, well, the role of the parents is very important because as they say, the parents are the first teacher. Okay, nowadays, I'm not saying that in the past the parents were not busy, but I think parents are too busy now, not only with their work, but even with social. No? Pagdating sa bahay, anong hawak? Cellphone, di ba? Sometimes nga everybody is using cellphone, they're not talking anymore because it's one of them with cellphone. So, yun, the role of the parents. And then when it comes to, ano naman, it was mentioned that pag nawala ka na, like when you left the Department of DPWH, o sino nang sumunod. And in the private, it was mentioned that the same is true in the private sector. But I think there's such thing as succession planning. So it's very important in any organization. Succession planning is very important so that even if the leaders now will retire, in a few years, if they're able to train their successors, then there is hope that there will be continuity.
I think they tried to address on the last issue. They tried to address that by making sure that before you're appointed as CESO, you go through a career executive service officer's course. No? But, it's easier said than done. Pag ayaw ka ng presidente, appointing authority, tanggal. No? So, the continuity sometimes is a desire, but it is not always followed. Difficult. I mean, I understand. We're all in the same boat. We hope we can help each other create a better Philippines for the youth, para sa kabataan. We'll survive this. No? Let's face it. You will still have your 3 meals tomorrow. You will still have enjoy your years ahead. But what about the youth? What kind of future do they have if we don't act today? Kung hindi tayo makikialam.
Okay, with that, babes, could you answer this final question? Despite what you've witnessed in government, in private sector perhaps, and even in grassroots advocacy, what makes you optimistic that the private sector can be a genuine leader in rebuilding and sustaining public trust?
because I always believe that the private sector has the muscle, no? Don't rely on government because leaders will keep changing, no? But the private sector, you have business interests, long term, you have employees, you have stakeholders to address, no? So you are a lot more permanent, no, than government. That's a quick answer to your question. The private sector has to take the lead. Pagpasok ko sa DPWH, hinanap ko kagad, ano yung mga projects na pwedeng pagawa sa private sector under a PPP? Immediately, my first response, that was the first time that we used PPP for classroom building. And who were the contractors? Yung malalaking nandiyan dyan ngayon. Simply because kung kaya ng private sector, ibibigay ko sa private sector. Because you have a lot more flexibility. Lalong-lalo na sa government infrastructure that needs maintenance. My goodness, don't even rely on government to maintain assets. That's the last thing you would want to do. Pag-aawayan lang yan, you will never have a good maintenance program. Ipapabid nila yan ang pinakamura for them to be able to, na hindi sila makulong. What will they get? You give peanuts, you get monkeys. That's unfortunately how these things work. So the private sector has to be more active.
So the challenge has been raised, ladies and gentlemen, in the private sector. I think much of the solutions to what we've heard can be addressed and within our control. So with that, may I request everyone to give a good hand to Babes. I'm sure we have more questions, but we don't want to stress him again.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, and we hope to see you in the next activities of Sharefield.